Hi, everybody.
Oh, I love your hair, Lizzy.
Thank you. I put it's called something like I took out my twists, right? Went back to this and some argan oil.
Nice.
Yeah, some argan oil did the business. It did the business. It absolutely did. Now I know tonight we don't have our Leslie because she had mommy stuff that came up,
Yep.
which this happens when you
It
got
helps everything.
mommy's sit. Mommy stuff happens. Mommy stuff happens. I still got my training stuff here. Let me take off the timers because you guys are still seeing all the little timers that are everywhere. Take off all the timers. So, how is everybody this evening?
I am great. How are you?
I am good. I'm so glad to see you.
I
Yes.
know. I feel bright.
I'm so glad to see you. It's awesome to see you, Steph. Oh, you're casual today, Steph. What's up? Okay,
Listen,
what's written across?
so bold, brave, strong, and fierce.
Okay, okay, all
That's
right.
how I was feeling in my spirit. That's how I was
Okay.
feeling in my spirit.
All
Nice.
right.
Hello, Monica. I'm so
Hey,
excited to
Stephanie.
hear from
Me
you.
too. I feel
I
like
am
bright.
thrilled.
Wait, hold on.
She's like, this light, this bright,
I
bright,
know.
bright. It's real bright. Well, I'm glad that we're here.
Hold on, I'm gonna change
And
this light a second.
I didn't get a chance today. Something I did last week, and I said I was going to do it today, but I didn't. I was up and I was working, and I taught all day today. And that was to go live a little bit before we actually go live. So like an hour before, kind of like still in that work time, just to remind everybody that this is happening and so that they know. But I forgot to do that. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it in my schedule for next week to actually do that. So that I go live on all the social platforms and hey, everybody, don't forget, blah, 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 blah. And so then that's what I'm going to do next week. It's going to be added to my schedule. But how is everybody?
Great. How are
I
you?
It's
I'm
Tuesday.
good. It
want to
is.
say hi.
It's Tuesday, but it feels like a Thursday.
Well, how about yesterday? Felt like a Tuesday. I'm texting Lizzy talking about Liz.
Well, I want to say hi to Monica. It's very nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too.
I love your name and I love
Thank
your
you.
glasses. I have to say, I love cat eyes, and I will always want to have a pair myself, and I just have never found like the right one. So
It has taken me years to find these glasses. Trust me.
I am jealous because I so want a pair like that. And then
Aw.
once I get my pair, I will probably have to buy a whole outfit to go with it. Some
Yes.
sort of this outfit to go with it.
It
But
changes everything.
yes, it does. So I'm so happy to meet you. And Kay, we missed you last week.
No, I was bombarded.
That's good though. I want to say it's great that you were, that you had so many things to do, and I'm so glad about that.
I missed you guys.
Have you? Yes.
So today, as we've had our little mini discussion of seeing everybody because literally we don't necessarily all talk in the week. So this is the link, and we want to welcome you all to watching. And on the link, we have my co-host. Let me introduce the co-host. So the co-host we have Miss Stephanie Walls, we have Miss Kay Richards, and we have our wonderful Dr. Adriana. Right? So these are the ladies who are co-hosting with me. And this week we have a special guest, Monica Wisdom. Now, again, this is another lady I met through Clubhouse because there's a reoccurring thing. Okay. Women are coming together. Clubhouse is magnetizing us, and then we're magnetizing to the people who we're on the same wavelength with. So that's what's been happening. So that's how I met Monica, and I've been hoping to get her on one of my other shows before, but timing, this is the right time. This is the right day, and it's the right subject.
100%.
So she's here. So I'm going to go round robin and give everybody a little bit about you, right? For all those people who are new. And then we're going to crescendo and Monica will introduce herself. So I will start with you, Adriana, and then we'll go around.
Okay. So my name is Adriana. I am a neuroscientist by day, writer and speaker by night, I guess is the way to say it. We met through Clubhouse because we were participating in the same kind of rooms, and it's been very exciting because that means that we're people in the same wavelength. You know, we're interested in personal growth and women coming together and all of this. So that's how we ended up here, and that's how I had the opportunity to participate in this talk show.
And Kay, because you just weren't here last week, you have to introduce yourself now because we've gone this way.
Awesome. So good evening, everyone. I am Kay Richardson. I am the Idea Igniter, and I love to say that I help women entrepreneurs who are badass at what they do, but marketing and sales just isn't their strength. And I help them get unstuck and start getting clients into their business. And I'm also a professor at a university in the area of occupational therapy. So I'm here tonight, ladies.
Yes, you are. I missed your smile. I missed your smile. I did. I missed your smile. Steph!
Hey, look, in the words of Leona Carter, it said, hey, hey, listen. So I am Stephanie Wall. I'm retired commander from a local police department. I am now the CEO of Speaker Stephanie LLC. I am an associate adjunct professor with our local university. I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother, but I help women to break down barriers to their self-esteem, and I help aspiring entrepreneurs with mindset. And I too met this awesome lady on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is changing the game.
It is changing.
Yes.
So Monica, it's so great to see you. And so great to see Kay back this week. And Dr. Avion. It's always awesome. Good to see you. And Lizzy, see you in the morning on the Clubhouse.
In those early morning shows. We'll be in those early morning rooms. Yes. So now, Monica, please tell the world about you.
I am Monica Wisdom. I'm an auntie. I'm a world explorer. I'm an entrepreneur, a writer, all the things. And I'm all the women in one. And I've created a platform called Black Women Amplified because I found that our voice, our image, and positive light was missing. So Black Women Amplified, we have a Facebook page, we have a website, and we're building out into an academy for emerging entrepreneurs. So the one thing that we have ideas, we have strategies, but we need to learn how to monetize and get paid. So that's the next phase of Black Women Amplified. And I am so excited to be here. Lizzy and I have been chatting on the, what do they call it? The back channel of Clubhouse.
What do they call it right now? The back channel.
And I am finally here with you ladies today, and I'm super excited and incredibly honored to be here.
Welcome.
Right. Speak about this back channel now. What's the back channel? And let's talk now. I thought I was doing all. I want to know about all the channels. Don't come sliding in with back channels.
Don't we call sliding in the DM? We call it back channel.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something, ladies. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but I've heard there are official back channels now, so that the big rooms have back channels, WhatsApp groups, etc., that they communicate with each other in. Yeah. Right. So they decide, okay, you're going to come into my room with me. You're going to do this. This is going to be the topic. And then they all come together. I was privileged to be in a back channel. It just happened at like 4:00 one morning. Right. I ended up coming. It was a back channel room. It wasn't really an open room. And I met a whole bunch of awesome people. Right. Who are, and I mean, some helped me with my email, putting on some special codes that made my email start to like sing and dance.
Oh, wow. Fancy.
Yeah. Do tell about some special codes and singing and dancing.
It was really fancy. And do you know what they said? Right? That LinkedIn is the place. Although people aren't tapping it, it is the place. And it's going to take over. Ladies, we're in here early.
Yes.
Oh, yes. And I was like, really? And some of them had direct connections into LinkedIn because of who they were, etc. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm glad I'm doing it. Yeah, keep doing that stuff on LinkedIn. You gotta do that stuff on LinkedIn. It's like, okay. All right. So, you know, we're on the right vibe, ladies. We're on the right vibe. So our subject, obviously, that we've been talking about has been transitioning. And we've had some interesting topics, on transitioning. And so today we're going to look at taking the same topic again, but we're going to talk about the transitioning now into the acceptance of self. Because one of the things that Monica brings to this discussion is the idea of, as women of color, really getting to that place where you can only be amplified when you've understood you have a voice. So we're going to talk about transitioning now into finding yourself, like discovering who you are. Because as you all can see, we're ladies who have been on the earth a wee while, right? It hasn't messed with our beauty, but it has definitely granted us wisdom and experience.
Yeah.
So I want to start with you, Monica. Talk to us about the transitioning to coming into your voice as a woman. You know, not like a practice woman, but a woman for real. Because you can people in their 20s are kind of like, they're getting into it. You think
Not
you've
practice.
but you're practicing.
My practice. Well, it really started in my 30s, my early 30s, around 33, when I was tired of myself. You know how you get tired of yourself, you're running yourself ragged, you don't know which direction you're going in, and you're just like all over the place trying to figure it out. And at that time, I really got deep into church. And the verse, be still and know that I am God, I took that to heart. So I just started to get still so that I could hear myself. And I went on a spiritual journey, and I really went in many different directions, from Egyptology to Islam to Buddhism, like all the things. I just consumed all of the things. And what I found, the common thread in everything is just trust. And that's one thing that was missing in my life, because I had been through so much trauma and disappointment. The one thing that was missing was trust, and the trust left to me feeling unworthy. So I worked on my worthiness, and that's when I discovered my voice, instead of all the voices that were in my head that were programmed in me, like my parents, society, my peers, all the things. And I got still, I discovered trust. And once I felt worthy and discovered my voice, then I started to flower. It took a while, but I planted those seeds and the flowers opened up, and here I am today. I feel I just turned 52. And
Oh, it feels good to have somebody with a 50.
Yeah, and so I
52
feel
is a good
more.
number. It's a good number.
Yeah, it is a good number, and I feel more of myself than I ever have in my whole life. So whoever she is, this is me, and this is who I am, and I accept myself, flaws and all. Flaws and all.
I love that.
I love that too.
I
say
that.
I am she, and she
I am
is
she.
me.
That's your next T-shirt. I am she.
Girl, let me write that down. You know what, Monica? You spoke it.
I'm she. She is me. Yes. Yeah. That's like snaps right there.
Yes.
I'm she and she is me. Yeah, because I think a lot of times we're still trying to marry those two together. Right? Of who am I? Right? And when you look in the mirror, who's she? Do I know her? And you've married them, and it's so funny. That's one of the things I have milestone ages that I look forward to, because I have expectations of them.
Me too.
Right. So I had expectations that 30 meant people would finally give me space and believe that I had some experience. Right. So 30 was, I am a woman. Right. And then 40 was, yes, I got this down, but that wasn't true. So now I'm looking forward to 50, because 50 to me is going to be, I couldn't care less. I'm just me. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And maybe I should get there prior to 50, but I just feel like 50 announces that I don't care less. And you got to just like deal with that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to 50.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but right now, I thought I would never be the one. You know, I thought 50. You remember when we thought 50 was old? Remember that?
Yes.
They're like
That's
50
right.
is old.
You should be
And now
old.
we have
Zero. Come on, you
kids. The kids are
know.
like they're old. And I was like, well, how old is old? They're like 40, and I'm like, okay. So, but here's what. Now I have never been so proud. I remember when I got 50. I was like, oh, how old are you? I'm 50. Like 50, 50 with the T and the Y at the end, right?
Yes.
Now I'm like, I'm 52. What? So I'm like, I have kids in their 30s. Okay. Let's just be clear where my situation lies, right? But I am a proud 52er. But I remember when I turned 40, 40 was I want to say when I turned 40, it was when the beginning of every birthday was no longer a celebration. It was a time for me to internalize everything.
Yeah.
Time to me to get to know me. I started looking back at things and looking at my life and trying to be a better version of who I was. And it was like if someone even said, "Oh, it's your birthday, let's celebrate," I was like, "Oh, no." On my birthday, don't call me. Text me, do all that stuff you do on social media. But on my birthday is my day. And I'm getting a massage. I'm going to read a book. I don't want, I want to just soak it in. I want to
That
enjoy
is
it.
nice.
Because birthdays and birthday parties, weddings, parties are not for you. They're for other people to come celebrate. Weddings, who's it really for? They say the bride, but she's tired.
No, that's true.
Those things are for other people. So on my birthday, I celebrate me.
Wow.
Whatever I want to do. So that was that. And that 50, the party still 52, the party still goes on. But Monica, I need to hear
love
more
that
about
you're
that.
saying that. I love that you're saying that because I have two comments there of me growing up. One is I always was pretty frustrated because my birthday is December 27th. So when I was a kid, it was always during Christmas break. So I was the kid who doesn't get the other kids in school to be around the day of the birthday. I was so jealous of all the kids that get stuff in their locker or whatever because, it's your birthday and your Christmas. Mine was not only during break, but it was right after Christmas when people are broke and they cannot buy presents either. So I remember my parents calling, they would throw me when I was a little kid, they would throw me a party, but they would call the people and say, don't worry about presents. Christmas just happened. So I had this resentment for the longest time when I was a little kid about my date of birth. And the other thing is growing up, I remember asking my grandma, my grandparents, maternal grandparents lived with us. And I remember asking my grandma, how old are you? And she was like, 38. And of course, that was a big lie. She was at least 40, in her late 40s or something at the moment I asked, but she was 38. And then a year or two later, I will ask again, Grandma, how old are you? And she was 38. And then I thought, does that mean that at some point you have to start lying about your age? And that was like a rule for me that by the time I hit 38, I was going to start lying about my age. And then 38 came and went, and I was like, I don't really mind. I love the idea to tell people that I'm 40 once I was going to turn 40 because I look fabulous at 40. So I love the face that people made when I said I'm 40, and people were like, what? That was great. Now, I'm approaching 50, and I'm like, I can't wait for that. And I really hope that I keep seeing those faces when people ask me, or if for whatever reason I have to disclose my age, because unfortunately the problem is they ask you less and less. They start assuming that they don't ask you for your ID when you're buying liquor or anything like that. And a friend of mine, just a comic comment aside, on the side, a friend of mine told me the other time that he used to be a bouncer. So when a bouncer in a club asks you for ID, it's not that you look that young, it's that he's hitting on you. So you can be flatter on the side, but also he knows what he's So just so you know.
I still receive it. When somebody said, your ID, please, I'm like, oh.
And I do agree. I think every age comes with a new attitude, whether it's, you're feeling more confident, you're feeling more alive and awake, or you just have this attitude, I don't care. I mean, I know for me at 40, I don't really care. I'm here and let's go. So I think every age does bring this new attitude or introspective, way of thinking or looking at yourself. So I can't wait to see what 50 brings and what I'm shaking and my attitude at 50. So got a couple more years left.
Well, Monica, she said she don't care already, so baby, she 50 gonna be fierce.
50's gonna be 50's gonna be a thing. So last year I happened to have been alone for my birthday because everybody was traveling and etc. And I literally didn't answer the phone. And it was nice. And it was, well, what are you doing for your birthday? I'm good. I went out like a couple of days before. So I had like some cheesecake in the house, right? I had some of my favorite stuff. So I had all my favorites in the house. And I got up, I showered, I put on a nice pair of fleecy pajamas, sat on the couch with my fleecy blanket.
That's it.
Right. Then I went had another shower, then put on another pair of fleece because I'm OCD on showers, people. So just me. Right. And then I sat down and watched another movie. Then I went and had some cake. Then I made something that just I like. I didn't have to think about if anybody else would like it. Anybody else wanted to eat it.
Year.
Right. And I was like, there was one phone call I took. And she started talking for too long. And I said, Auntie, you're the only call I've taken today because it's you.
But goodbye.
Right. That's exactly what I was like. But she's like, I'm not going to say goodbye. Right. And she's like, oh, so you're telling me? I'm such like, yes, please. And then I just enjoyed the rest of the day. It was nice.
To be in that state where you can just enjoy you, it says a lot. And just to be alone, even on such a huge day as your birthday, but still be able to enjoy it and just be in that moment of happiness I think is amazing, because a lot of people still feel like they need someone around them or next to them in order to feel like it's a party or a day of happiness.
Right.
And I used to feel that way. I did. I used to think if it was my birthday, there should be a big fuss going on, right? And something should happen. I remember I had wanted this huge 40th birthday party, like, because 40 was going to be the thing. And I had been talking about my 40th birthday for so long, I had intimidated, right? Devon at the time, right, who's my partner then, I had intimidated him that he didn't want to touch my 40th birthday in case he messed it up.
Oh, wow.
So he literally didn't do anything for my 40th birthday.
Okay.
And then I was like, how have you not done anything for my 40th birthday? Do you know how long I've been talking about my 40th birthday?
Hinting. You were hinting.
You've done nothing. I was so hurt. But it was because I just hyped it so much. It was like, I'm not touching that and messing it up.
Lizzy, what would you tell your clients about talking versus hinting versus my birthday's coming up?
I would have
plans?
Today, I would say, tell people what your expectations are, right? Because expectations and assumptions, they're both invisible. Right? Your intentions, they're all invisible. But today I know this is how you know you've grown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I want to know, Miss Monica. Miss Monica, I want to know what was your 40 to 50 is when you did this, you went on the journey, the spiritual journey. And how long was this journey?
It wasn't 40 to 50. It was like my mid 30s to my 40s. I studied with a woman named Dr. Ezekiel Kwa and Betty Spool, and they teach the Divine Feminine. So I studied with them for about 10 years.
No, Miss Monica, what's Divine Feminine?
Yeah, you can't just drop
you
that.
You just can't slide through that. You understand?
You can't drop it and move on?
No, ma'am.
So we in America and many colonized countries live in a masculine society where everything is about male-centered and male energy, the hustle, the bustle, the competition, the all the things. And as women, we're suffering because of that. Everybody suffers because of it. And when you learn about the Divine Feminine, it's a different way of operating. It's more of community, manifesting, patience, kindness, all the things that we in America thrive for, but never quite get there. But it's an energy and a way of life. So you're not so into the competitive place because you understand it's more of allowing things to happen than trying to make things happen. It takes away the aggression, it takes away the stress, it takes away the misunderstandings because you know that every situation that comes to you, you're a part of manifesting it. So some of you hear about it in the law of attraction, and things like that. But it's definitely about understanding who we are as women and our place on the planet, not as roles determined by patriarchy, but our actual roles on the planet to heal, to comfort, to nurture, and to bring forth life. So that was a part of my understanding. And when I shifted into that, then a lot of my stress and anxiety kind of just left, and a lot of my childhood traumas healed because I realized, and my ambition shifted. My ambition for money and notoriety shifted to, I just want to have a peaceful life and whatever that looks like. And I want to do the things that bring me joy and whatever that looks like. So it was more of, instead of living a life that somebody told me I was supposed to live, like my dad said, you need to do this, or my mom said, you need to do that. It was like, what do I want to do with my life? And how do I want to live it? So that's where it started. And now that's just how I live my life. It's not like a thing. It's just, if something happens, it's like, okay, what's the lesson? And how do I navigate it? And I don't stress about it. I don't have anxiety about it. I just deal with it. As opposed to, I'm not perfect. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. It's just like, life is what it is. And how do I shift it? Because I have the power to shift it.
And Monica, just with what you were mentioning, is it also around the concept of we create our own reality as
Very
well?
much so. Very much so. It's very steeped into that because once you realize, it's like, I don't know I think it might be Deepak Chopra, talks about how you become the observer of what's happening around you, that you're not actually in what's happening around you. It's just information, and it lets you know where you are internally. So you know how a situation might come up and you try and control it, or you try to manipulate it, or you try to shift it from doing something. You become the observer of it and say, okay, what is this here to teach me? How did I draw this to my life? Whether it's a relationship, a job, or whatever the situation is.
Oh, I love that.
So you kind of look at things, and I'm doing a physical thing, so you kind of step back out of it. And it's like the Matrix, you kind of step back out of it and see what's really going on. And then you can shift or change or manifest from that perspective. So
Les Brown says you cannot see the entire picture when you're in the frame.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
It is amazing. And I wanted to ask you, and so of course, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, and I'm a coach. So I'm a transformational coach, but obviously I have most of my clients are women that experience trauma, right? And oftentimes, most people who are coaches in the field of trauma have experienced some themselves. But the reality is, in the United States, right? I know about the United States because that's what I've studied. 1 out of every 3 people have experienced or will experience trauma in their lifetime. So there we go. That's everybody, right? Pretty much. So there's 5 of us on here, right? Do the math. But I want to ask you because you said you experienced trauma when you were in your youth. How did that affect you? And did it play any role in the journey?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when I look back at it, every man I picked was just like my dad. All the jobs that I chose to take were because I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I didn't have the confidence, and not even the jobs I did take. But the jobs I didn't take was because I lacked confidence and I didn't think I was good enough to do the work. The opportunities that presented themselves, I shied back from. My friends told me I could walk into a room and it was like I could literally disappear, because I didn't want to be seen. And that was strictly because of trauma. Because if I wasn't seen, I wasn't getting abused, I wasn't getting hurt, and all the things. So I trained myself to be unseen. And a part of my work was putting myself out there to be seen. And that took just to put myself up front. One, the conditioning of a Black woman, being as we're conditioned to be servants in America, we were conditioned to be, through slavery, to be servants. So we had to be seen and not heard. As a child, we're taught to be seen and not heard. So in order to find my voice, I had to push myself up front, and it was a fight. So that was a part of the process as well, to hear my voice on the inside and be able to articulate what I was actually feeling instead of saying the things that I thought other people wanted to hear. So that was a big part of the process.
That's powerful.
I mean, how many days did you kick, scream, and cry to get to that point? Because I can only imagine, just the hard work that it takes to get there.
You said days? You said hours?
I said the hard work.
Years.
Like the hard work. I mean, I would imagine that it's still a process every day in some form of fashion.
Yeah, I had to create like a toolkit for myself so I can work myself through the process. So for instance, if I have like this now, speaking to you all, I don't know you. This is a platform I don't know. Now it's like, okay, well, let's hit it. Well, maybe 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been sleeping at night. I would have had to practice what I was going to say, make bullet points, learn how to. Hey.
That's it right there. Keep it moving. That wasn't me. Yeah.
Learn how to project my voice and just really take myself through the process days prior. Now it's like, give me what's the topic? Okay. What do I need to do? Okay. What time do I need to be there? Okay. So that process was creating a toolkit for myself that was specific to me. And one of my tools is writing. So I would literally write out what I was going to say over and over again so it would get in my body. I would meditate on it, pray. I still meditate and pray to make sure everything's okay. But really get deep into meditation and prayer to calm my body. Just like before I got on, I listened to music that uplifts me to kind of move my brain out of any anxiety. And I put on my makeup. So I have my processes that I do before I get on stage. It's kind of like an actor says, well, these are the things that I do before I get on stage. But it took years for me to develop that because not everything works all the time. And I learned that I couldn't do what other people did. I had to find my way of doing it. And so now, even now it's like, okay, Monica, make sure you don't forget anything, to have notes written down so that you can just eyeball it and go. But it was like quick 5 minutes before I got on instead of stressing out days before. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now it's like, okay, I can do this. Easy peasy. And I talk to God. I say, God, let's move, let's go. And then we move and we go. But it was a long process because you have to remember I had the trauma. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel my voice deserved to be heard. Even, just words that my father used to say to me would play in the back of my head. And that would silence me. And then society says that Black women don't need to be heard. So that would silence me. So all of those things would play in my head. And then I just slowly plucked it from my soul and said, let's go.
I like how you said plucking it from the soul.
From your soul.
Yeah. We both said the same thing.
Ooh. Plucked it from your soul. That's powerful.
One thing that I love is how the power of the feminine influence can help you so much through this. And I just had a minute of it, like 5 minutes ago. So I've been having a lot of stuff going on. There's a couple of very serious health situations happening with people that I love. So I've been under a lot of stress. And because of that, I took a step back on Clubhouse. I haven't been on for about a couple of weeks. And I was just thinking, okay, when would I feel fine again so I can go back in and participate and give some of myself in there? And I was just not finding it. And then suddenly we were talking about how Leslie's not here, and Steph was saying, oh, well, I'll see Leslie tomorrow. And I was like, I want to be there because they're there. Like, my girls are there. Mm-hmm. I don't care what the conversation is going to be. I don't care what the energy. I know that the energy is going to be beautiful no matter what. Because one of the reasons why I was not connecting into Clubhouse, even if I had time, what I did not have was the mental space, because sometimes when you go in, the rooms are very much hustling, and it's about the hustle and the competition and how to do more and more and more and more. And I was not feeling that I could get into that or see it. I will just connect and immediately go in the hallway, see what the rooms were, and just walk out. So just the idea that my girlfriends were going to be there. Mm-hmm. I don't care what the room is. The room could have been the most hustling one. As long as you girls are there, I know that I'm going to feel well, that I'm going to feel welcomed, that I'm going to feel warmth, that I'm going to feel support, that nobody's going to be doing the math of how much I'm doing compared to the other person, because that's not the kind of energy that we put into that kind of room. So I'm assuming that had a lot to do with the amount of progress that you were able to do over the years when you found the divine feminine, right?
Having a girl power support system is transformative. It is transformative. One, they see the things that you don't see, good and bad. And two, it's a soft spot to land on, with no expectations. It's like, I love you anyway. Just the idea that people love me anyway, and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to make a certain amount of money. I didn't have to have a position. All the labels were not required for love. And that's where the transformation really started to kick in for me, is just that pure, soft love that women have for one another. That was real. That wasn't based off of, oh, she's this or she's that, or she knows this or she knows that. Like, that didn't matter. It's like, you're breathing, you're here, I love you, period.
That's it. You must have been in Lizzie's clubhouse at 7:30 in the morning. That's where you go to start your day. I know y'all like 7:30.
I haven't got, I'm thinking
like 7:30. I'm sorry. Man, listen, it's Clubhouse. You ain't got to be dressed. Listen, you can have your hands tied up. You can be in the bed. As long as you can be like, Lizzy, bring yourself together. Bring yourself together. Put your profile. Because we don't know what Lizzy looking like, but she be sounding like she is up with a cup of coffee, with her makeup on and her hair thrown up and some heels on. Don't she? She sound like she is about the business. I be like, and then we said, Stephanie, I'd be like, God dang it, let me go to the stage, let me get myself together, because Lizzy is gonna make me bring this energy.
But you always sound like you're so awake.
I am. I get at 5 o'clock. I get at 5, but Lizzy, I am up because I get at 5:30. However, I'm a speaker. We learned that you have to learn how to bring it, right? Yes. And we used to teach folks back and we're always in sales, but I worked for a direct marketing company for many years. And when we used to do the cold calls on the phone, we said, before you get on that phone, talking about you excited, you need to run around the room for a little bit, so you almost out of breath. Hey, Stephanie, girl, I am so excited. You sound like you're excited. You're trying to catch your breath.
You have to get that frog out of your throat, right?
I get that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I sound like a dude in the morning, so if I have to do
all the time.
Early,
Although, wait a minute, I used to hate my voice. but I learned to love my voice.
Yeah.
See, when all I needed was somebody, actually my husband was, I just love your voice. It's just so sultry. I was like, what? Word?
Okay.
And I heard it 2-3 more times. And then after that, I was like, you know what? And then I learned also as part of my self-love, if you cannot stand to hear the sound of your voice or look at your image, your own image, you forget what you really look like, then there's a problem.
I think that one is huge. Looking at yourself in the mirror. I mean a full body mirror. I'm not talking about face up. It's just going through that exercise and really just, admiring who you are, just accepting who you are with whatever flaws and imperfections, we may compare ourselves to not having or having. I think that's huge for women to just stand in front of a full length mirror, just naked, and just look.
You may not like what you see,
Well, you should
but
love
it is she and I am she, right? But it's you.
Yeah.
And I used to think, I remember, you ever look back at a picture of yourself and that picture back then, you swore you weren't whatever. But then now you're like, I sure wish I was. Can I be her again?
Lighter.
Right? So that's what I want to say. It is Bob Proctor that says, how about, and I think he might be quoting Napoleon Hill, but how about we learn to live in the now? Learn to love the here. Remember I told you all the other week that there's always another, when I get there, when I get there, I'm gonna, when I get there, I'm gonna, when I get there. Well, as soon as you get there, which will now become the here, there'll always be another there.
Yeah.
I believe he got that was a very long poem by unknown writer. But when I read that, I was like, yes, there's always the grass is never greener, right? Right. When you get over there, really, you don't know why it's green. I don't think you ever think somebody once said that the grass looks green on the other side, but it was spray painted and listen, it was fertilized with some SHIT. Understand, it has to be fertilized. Right. And then my last point on that one is I love
oh my gosh.
They said that, what is it? TD Jakes said everybody wants to be the flower.
Yeah.
But you got to first be the seed. And anything worth is all these things that are beautiful first went to the dirty place. Remember the book about the dirty places? The crushing. His book, The Crushing. It talks about got to read his book about the crushing. It talks about you have to first go through the dirty places, the places that before you can come out all clean. So it's almost like the butterfly. Everybody want to be the butterfly, but nobody want to be the caterpillar. Crawl before you can walk. There's just so many examples.
That's the one thing I learned with my teachers, that shifting is that the women, we're the soil. Everything grows from us. And so until we take care of our soil, nothing's going to grow in a proper way. So if you want to know why you're attracting these type of men or these type of jobs or this situation keeps happening, you have to check yourself, because we are the soil. And if the flower is not blooming or the roots are rotten, we have personal responsibility in that. Nothing's happening to us. Everything's happening because of us. So that
say that again. Say it again.
Nothing's happening. The whole thing, or where do you want me to start? Nothing is happening to us. Everything is happening because of us.
The cause and effect.
Absolutely, 100%. I absolutely agree with the 100% responsibility for absolutely everything. No, it's real. I mean, with that, putting aside, accidents or something of the sort, everything in your life is happening because you are allowing it.
Come on.
And as soon as, let's say that there's something that you were not ready for and it starts crumbling down and you allow it to keep crumbling, you're the one who's doing it. You're the one who is allowing people to treat you in a certain way, the one who's allowing your partner to treat you in a certain way, the one that is allowing your kids to behave in one way or another around you instead of, you know, doing something different so the circumstances may change. And you definitely may not think that you're going to keep doing the same things and get different results. You know, I don't like much the phrase that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. It's not my favorite phrase, but it's absolutely true. You know, the tendency of saying that if I do it 10 more times and I'm more angry every time I do it, then things are going to change. That definitely is not how it's going to happen. You have to take a step back, you have to look at yourself, and you have to see where you went wrong. But also, you should not listen to what the other people are saying on where you went wrong, because there will always be somebody who will point and make you feel bad, but not with the intention of helping you change, but with the intention to keeping you in the same place.
Wow. Now
Yeah.
that one was deep.
Yeah, you know, it like point they folks would love to listen. Remember, something good news travels real slow. Bad news be around the world by tomorrow morning this time, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of people tend to, as what Adriana was saying, look on the outside and ready to blame others before they look inside and ask themselves, how did I participate in this? What did I do? You know, and I think when people begin to start taking that approach, I think stress can be a lot less. I think life can be easy flowing, much easier, and just much more livelier and enjoyable, and of being able to attract the things that you truly want and desire in your life. When we begin to look at self first before we start pointing and looking at the outside as the answer.
Because you really have absolutely nothing control over other people. So if you're waiting for them to do something different, you're going to wait for the rest of your life. It's just simply not going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's your partner, it doesn't matter if it's your child. If you're waiting for the other person to change and for the other person to do the right thing, whatever your concept, because it's your concept of the right thing. The right thing is never universal. The right thing depends on whose right thing it is. So if you're waiting for somebody to do the right thing, you're going to wait for the rest of your life. You need to decide what is it that I need to do and what I can do for my own purposes, for my own well-being, so I can give some more well-being to the people around me and not sit there and wait for somebody else and I'll just do something when the other one does it, because then nothing is going to change. That's just being comfortable in your uncomfortable place.
And most of the time when we change, people change.
Yes, definitely.
When we change, sometimes we change people.
Exactly.
We do. We absolutely.
They fall off. You know, God said we don't have to tell. You know, you don't have to cancel people. They'll cancel themselves.
Yeah.
Not right, because you're not who they want you to be the same as you've always been, and they may even say you are all different. You acting all different, and instead of being all offended, how about we say, yes, thank you for noticing.
Thank you.
Thank you for noticing, because I mean I have been working on me. Just go right on out there with it. I mean, just But listen, I'm going to tell you the biggest thing out of all that I learned, which was like taking off a whole person off of me, was when I stopped when I stopped assigning meaning to stuff that had no real meaning. Like, what's that? Right? We assign meaning to things, right? When it didn't matter to me anymore. When I stopped responding, right, and when I thought about, could I have handled that differently? Like, how did I respond to it? Because it doesn't matter what people say or do to you, because that's what they did. It's going to be gone, but it's how you respond. Because once you respond, you put yourself in the story. Yeah. And once you learn that, you'll notice other people when they do it. You will notice it, and you'll notice when you'll catch yourself when you do it. I mean, I'm like, when I catch myself, like, oh, wait a minute. Then I'm like, okay, let me go back. And somebody's like, we're talking. I said, you know what? I was being a jerk and I owe you an apology. And I'm real honest, right? And once you say that, bam, whatever that was going on, folks they look at you totally different because they didn't expect the same person that was whatever that was you did, whatever that was, they would already form an opinion about you. They would never speak to you again. They're gonna talk poorly about you forever. If they have a company and you want a job there, you can forget it, and so can your family, right? Right? If they know that you're related. But if you be authentically who you are. Like when I'm listening to Monica talk about going through that journey, I'm with her. Like I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Cause she's at peace. She's just a Monica. I'm a whole lot of things. I'm this. But I love me. If she never said it, I could see it. But Monica, I want to ask you this. How did the journey affect your relationships with family and friends?
Some people energetically just left. They left and I had to let them go. Some relationships got a lot stronger, which was a beautiful thing, because we went to a deeper level. And I started meeting a whole lot of new people that were, like the Bible says, equally yoked, where they were where I was. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a whole lot of explanation. It's just like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you like Deepak? Oh, you like this? Oh, me too. And then you move forward together. It's like, I always say that God cleans your plate so that he can give you better food. Oh, yeah. And so my plate would be cleaned. But I had to let it go because oftentimes the pain came with, I thought I did something wrong, therefore they left. But the truth of the matter is, I worked on myself and our energy no longer matched. Mm-hmm. So I had to let that go.
And some of them grow watching you. Some of them will come back to your life and they're going to be changed because they're watching your journey.
Oh, very much so. It's really strange when people are like, oh, I've been watching you. Like, you have?
They're like, always watching. Look, everybody in the world, on everyone's trying to have businesses, and you're thinking you're on social media and you're being an influencer or whatever. And you said they're not liking. They peeping. They're just not speaking. I'm sorry.
But I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. I in my heart, I truly believe that everything I have comes from God. And so I don't worry about the people. Every opportunity I have comes from God. So I don't worry about the people. If you're there, you're there. You're not, you're not. And no matter what our relationship was, I have to look at it for what it is. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes I find we keep relationships because of the history that we have. Mm-hmm. But is this relationship working for me now? Are the conversations we're having working for me now for the person that I choose to be right now? And it's not, like you said, it's not a thing where you're like, I'm canceling you. It's like when the conversation shifts, these are not the people you're talking to.
It's just comfortable. Really, they're just comfortable.
It's not a complicated process. Yeah. When I was younger, it was a complicated process. It was the arguing, the bickering, the back and the forth. Now it's like, hey, I wish you heaven. Have a great life. I'm here.
So, ladies, do you think then, when you're thinking about this feminine energy, that the feminine energy starts to come out of us as we get older, even if we've subdued it? It's like it decides it wants to, do you know what I mean? It wants to bloom. Oh. So thus we get to this point where like 50 seems to be an age, right? Where women start to be like, I don't care. This is me. Like me or don't like me, accept me or not. Do you think that's what it is? It's that the feminine energy finally is able to push through everything? Monica.
I think that at 50 or getting close to 50, your mid 40s, you start to focus on yourself and you let go of it. So yes, what you're saying, because you let go of a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's something that happens I don't think it's anything we're seeking. It's like you said, it's something we are revealing. But in order for that to happen, you have to let a whole lot of stuff go. A whole lot of perceptions go. A whole lot of ideas go. A whole lot of everything just go so that you can just clearly see and be yourself. Whatever that is, because we're all spending time looking for this purpose. We're all spending time seeking peace. But the truth of the matter is, the truth that I have learned, as I have learned it, is our purpose is who we are when we were born. And then other people decided who we were supposed to be, and we believed them. So now we have to take that time to get still and hear who we are inside, and allow the ideas of who other people think we're supposed to be go.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Right.
You know, for whatever it is, because like my teacher taught me, she said, whenever you come to the room, you bring everything you need with you.
There's a
I'm gonna just let it.
everything that I need. Someone says that I have everything that I need always.
And you were born with it. It's nothing that we seek. It is when we were born, how we are, our personality, what we bring to the table, we already had. And you might hear a relative say, "Oh, I knew you were going to be a speaker because you talked a lot as a little girl." You know, or I knew you were going to be a scientist because you love to take stuff apart. So everything you had, you already have with you, but we spend so much time trying to figure it out that we don't go in and develop it and allow it, like you said, to come out. So it might happen at a certain age because that's the time of our lives when we kind of get into ourselves as opposed to what the world says we're supposed to be. And some people discover it younger. I see it in these young kids now. I'm like, you invented what?
Listen, I feel like I'm not doing anything. I'm standing still.
The suture, and I was like, what? You know, but the support system is different for the kids now.
Yeah.
You know, our generation, it was be seen and not heard. Their generation is they follow the kid to see where they can develop. So the support system is different for the younger people than it was for us. But overall, I think that, yes, Lizzy, it does happen at a certain age for our generation because this is a time where we develop sister bonds and we take the time to get to know ourselves. Whereas the younger generation, they develop that at 10 years old. They're clear. 18-year-olds are clear. 18-year-old in 2021, they're clear. Whereas it took us a lot longer.
You know, when I was in my teens and in my early 20s, I remember, for example, that my mom had one of Wayne Dyer's books. I don't remember the name in English. That You're Wrong. I don't remember the name, but it was Wayne Dyer's books, self-growth. And I remember just going like, you know, what is that? Who needs that? You know, as long as you're smart and as long as you are the best, you don't need any of that. And that was me at 20. And now I have a 24, and it took me until like my mid or late 30s to start doing the processes of personal growth and reading those books and, you know, integrating all that into my life. And I have a 24-year-old son, and he meditates, he listens to talks, he reads so many books. Mom, have you read this and this and this and this and this? And I'm like, no, I don't have enough hours.
That's me.
All of those. And this kid, and I tried to give to him, but I was very scared to tell him about personal growth and about books and about speakers because I didn't want him to react the way I used to react when I was young. And he just did it on his own. And this kid is this huge fan of all the big speakers and all the, you know, all the Super Soul Sundays and all of those things. And it's just like, okay, this definitely is a different world. where the priorities are different, where we see things and we don't think that this is just frou-frou, that you should not pay attention and just focus on the competition. But it's like, this is incredibly important. And if you want to do something big in your life, you better settle yourself first, your inner self first, and then you can achieve a lot, instead of just measuring yourself by those outward achievements like our generation did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at our time. And of course, as always.
So
Bye.
As always, right? We have gone over. But I want us to, I almost feel like this is why this topic of transitioning keeps going, right? Because there's just so many spaces in the midst of this conversation. But I think we've hit something that's really, really important, and I'd love to continue this conversation, Monica. Right?
He's always poking me.
On this coming into oneself. Right? Because if there's one thing we would love for women who are our age, is for them to give themselves permission to come into themselves. Mm-hmm. Because we're saying, the generation coming, they know who they are. But us, women our age, we haven't all yet got to that place where we've given ourselves permission.
No.
Or where we're taking the time, or we think, so we are coming with so much more that we got to kind of climb out of. And so I would love to kind of dedicate another show to that. Does that make sense? Right? That if we can give some women some tips on how to be able to take that space, to take your space for you and allow that feminine energy to start to come up and embrace it and go on the journey with it, would be great. Because there's so many women, when you think about who are our age, who are crying in the shower, drinking late at night, nobody sees, and popping pills to just keep it going, but nobody sees that. But it's because it's like they're needing permission and they don't even know where to get the permission from, and not realizing the permission needs to come from themselves. To say,
I think something great is that we heard Monica's story today, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And then there's the rest of us with our stories, because her story may be not exactly what other person will feel comfortable starting from. So we all had our different starting points. We all took our different paths. If we all share it, then people will see there are so many ways for us to come into this common ground. You can come from so many origins, from so many ways, from so many different paths, that let's just share our own paths. And then
I think so that's so if I'm coming up, if I'm giving next week a topic, is it the path I've chose to transition by?
That could be a good one.
The path to self.
Maybe it is. I thought that more. The path to self. You used a phrase earlier. The she is me. Right. So the path to
I am she, she is me.
Yeah, I am she and she is me. So
me.
the path to I am she and she is me. Let me write that down, because
and it's true, and that's the beauty of it, is that we all do have different stories, and that's very important that everybody highlights that, because people see the destination, but they don't see how you got there. And we're such a destination-centered society. Like, we see the car, we see the house, we see the job. But for everybody, it's so different. And that's why I love to watch like documentaries, because I want to see how you got there. I don't want to see you there. I want to see how you got there.
Yes.
Tell me your story.
The becoming.
Becoming. Yes. you know, I see you first lady. I see you with these degrees. I see you with these Ivy League accolades. I see you married to the president. But how did I know your dad was had what did he have? MS.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
crazy like
and
that, basically.
you lived above your aunt, and you lived in a, all the things. It's like, oh my God. And after I watched the documentary, I was like, had I known that 20 years ago, had I seen her story, somebody who looked like me, who came from the Midwest, who had the humble beginnings like I did, had I seen that story 20 years ago. So it's important for our generation to tell our story. So I absolutely agree with storytelling.
Don't forget about Oprah.
Mhm.
That dog on Oprah. I mean, every time we turn around, I'm like, darn, Oprah. I mean, when she had a show, she literally cried. You know, I was like, now Oprah, she didn't done it. She like, I did that too, but she really had
Yes.
an awful, a challenging childhood, one that many people don't survive.
Mm.
I mean, I encourage you to look at her, read her story, research Oprah. My. I mean, listen, and she is such an inspiration to me.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Such an inspiration because see, I'm talking. So everybody didn't have mommy and daddy,
Hmm.
right? A lot of people went live with grandmama, and if you ever went down south to grandmama house, right, or went with grandmama or somebody that didn't like you, or people they were molested, and she went through. I mean, you name it, she'd been through it.
Hmm.
But then she grew up and she learned to wear the mask, like so many women do, like all of us. At some point, if you haven't worn a mask in your life, or you're telling yourself you haven't, then you are telling a story. Period. In the story,
And the
right?
other piece of Oprah is that she was friends with with one of the Kennedys. What's her
Yeah,
name?
I think it was Caroline, wasn't it? Caroline.
No, it wasn't Caroline. The one who was married to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who's married to Arnold
Oh
Schwarzenegger?
my
Okay, I
God.
know I've got her
Maria
face. I've
Shriver.
got the name, but I know the face.
Maria Shriver.
Yes,
So she was
yes.
exposed, at a young age in her early 20s to a whole different way of life.
Right, but that's in the early 20s. But until she got there,
But
it
even
was
that
it was
piece,
real raggedy for her.
yeah, but even that piece is important
Yeah,
because she was exposed to a different way of living. So
yeah,
she knew she didn't have to live like that anymore.
that's right.
And that's
Oh,
when her life shifted into I too can be rich. I too can have nice things. So
Mhm.
that's
and that's
this.
what social media does for our kids. Because we didn't have that. You had to have somebody. Now everybody can have everybody because they can be on, they can be on Clubhouse, so they can talk to them and have connections on Twitter. There was no Twitter. There was none of that. We wasn't connecting. And if you saw them, they were on their way with all their bodyguards, and that was it, right?
Right.
So
You
today, where we
you
are,
have a VIP pass in the back, maybe.
maybe right, but today where we are, it's interesting. I heard somebody use this phrase, and I'm wrapping us up, that we're in a space where the veil between worlds and classes
Mhm.
has been split,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
agree.
since that's happened and is happening, I think it's really important to that it's almost like it's a monumental season that the universe is opening up, right, for everybody to choose,
Mhm.
kind of choose what's the life you really want to have and what's
Mhm,
the path you really want to take. I
mhm.
went to this retreat this week. Well, it wasn't really a retreat, it was like a coaching kind of thing, right, that I went to. um and Christy Rutherford, and she said this will stick with me for life. She said, when the waiter's coming up to the table and asking you for what you want, you keep talking about all the meals you had that were wrong. Keep talking about everything else that was wrong. But they're asking you, what do you want for the menu today? What do you want right now? What do you want now? How can I help you today? How can I help you in this moment? That blew my mind. It just blew my mind because I think a lot of times before we embrace where we are right now and we ask for what we need right now, for what we desire right now, we reflect back on What happened the last time we asked, or what happened the last time we tried this, or do you know what I mean? And we don't allow ourselves to occupy our current space. So as we close today, what advice would you give? Two things, not three, two things you would give to women today as advice so they can occupy their space that they're in today and request what it is they really need. Adriana.
Just say it. Don't say it, and say it kindly. It's not about not saying what you want because it may offend somebody or make somebody feel bad. As long as you say it sweetly, it doesn't matter what it is. Just ask for your request.
Okay.
I would say yes to yourself no matter what.
I love that. I love that. I love
I
that.
would say show yourself grace.
Mm.
Show yourself a lot of grace.
I would say take the words I can't out of your vocabulary and believe in yourself, because we don't have a skills problem, we have a belief problem. Believe in yourself. Put your bank on you first.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us on the link. We will be back next week. And if we can twist Monica's hand, she will be back with us to continue this particular conversation where we are going to share our stories and talk about how we've got to the place where we're now starting to love ourselves. For real, real. Thank you so much for watching. You can get the reruns on YouTube. Join our group. Go to Facebook. Join the group, ladies. Join the group. The link. It's a safe group. It's a place where you can come. You can see these whole entire things. You can chat with us. You can meet other women and have community that is safe, caring, and kind. So join the link group on Facebook today. Take care. Have a fabulous evening.